everybody. It's Thursday, April 3rd, and we're here at Talkwad Studios in Tampa, coming to you live. Welcome to Barking Out Loud. I am here today with Tracy Karathanasis again. She is one of our foster moms, as you guys have met her on the second show. But she is here because we have two of her foster dogs today that are going to be special featured because of the surgeries that we have going on in Florida Retriever Rescue right now. So we'll get to them in a few minutes. Hello, Kayla. Tonight I wanted to actually talk to you about dog food. Can't tell you how many times I get asked, what kind of dog food should I feed my dog? And it's a really hard question to answer because it depends on what kind of dog you have, how big they are, how much exercise they get. What are your work hours? Do you have another dog for them to play with? What is your lifestyle? There's so many things that come into play when it comes to dog food because certain dog foods will have higher fat, certain dog foods will have higher protein, some are weight loss, some are pure sugar and pure junk. There's all sorts of variants out there, so it really is going to depend on the dog you have. Something that's probably not a well-known fact, that a larger dog you would think would eat a ton of food. A small dog eats a little bit of food, and that is necessarily true. However, that little dog actually has to eat more per body weight than that large dog does. The little dogs actually have a higher energy level, so they're burning it more than a big dog would, who tends to be a little bit lazier. Not all of them, obviously, but in general, that's the rule to go by. One thing I can definitely tell you, never feed what it says on the bag. If you've ever seen the bag of food, it basically would tell you to feed your dog 3 or 4 cups of food, which is outrageously crazy for most dogs, as you know, unless they're severely emaciated. Some of our rescue dogs that would be okay for, but in the most sense, that would be way too much food. So, we're going to talk about a couple of different foods that you can look at. Most people these days are going no grain, and that has to do with no glutens, no grains, and a lot of people, humans, are doing that as well as for their dog. It makes a difference in their life if you think of kind of in the sense of the paleo diet for a human, where the thought process is that paleo man back in that time didn't have grains, they didn't grow food, things like that. They had the meats basically that they killed to eat, and they had vegetables or other things, but there weren't like wheat and flours and things that are made from it. Nothing was processed, obviously. So dog food works the same way. Dog food is also processed pretty much in any form unless you are feeding a raw diet. So when you're looking at your food, okay, I can't avoid the process completely, but I can give them the highest nutrition I possibly can for what's available out there. And that doesn't always has to come at a cost. And that's the biggest thing I think people are concerned about. My yellow lab, Scooby, has allergies, and they're pretty bad allergies, but he would lose all his fur pretty much once a year for about 6 months or 5 months. He would look disgusting. He'd be gross and blah, you wouldn't want to touch him. He'd smell and everything. It was horrible. Lose all his hair. It looked not even like a dog. So I went crazy trying to find what kind of food I could feed him, tried all sorts of stuff, was told, well, you got to get an allergy food, try the food for Labradors only, which is the Eukanuba Lab formula. I went back and forth. I tried everything I could think of. And it's like $30, 30-pound bags was like the largest size, and it was like $55 a bag. And I've got, obviously, multiple dogs in the house. So if I'm feeding 3 large dogs on a 30-pound bag, it lasts me a week. So that was getting pretty expensive. What I did was I did a bunch of research, and I looked at foods that didn't have corn, soy, wheat, all of the things that I myself have tried to cut out of my diet. I'm also doing that for my dog. And it has made a huge difference. I have been 2 years now feeding my dog a food that does not have any of those additives, and he has not, I can't say shed a single hair because God help me, he's a yellow lab, sheds all over the place. but he has not had allergies like he did before. He has not lost his hair. He doesn't have a smell anymore. He's healthy. He's energetic. He's a little overweight, but that's a whole nother story. That's not the food's fault. So what I did, when you do your research, look at what's going to work for your dog. Again, how big are they? What kind of energy do they have? What kind of exercise can you provide them? There are some high-end foods like Innova and Blue Wilderness and California Naturals. Those are all generally, and Canada is another big one, about $50 to $60 for a 30-pound bag. Again, that can get pretty expensive. What I found is a food called Diamond Naturals. There's another one similar to it called 4Health. And Diamond Naturals is not available at PetSmart or Petco, unfortunately. The only place I've been able to find it is Pet Supermarket and feed stores. Coming from the north, we didn't see feed stores. We're like, okay, maybe up in New Hampshire, the horses had feed stores, but we never saw them in the city in any way, shape, or form. Here in Tampa, they're probably every 15 minutes or so there's a feed store because there's such a difference in rural and city here. You could have, I joke, a community here, a beautiful Bernie community I used to live in, and we'd be sitting out in the pool in the lanai and you'd hear cows mooing. So it's just the way it works around here. It's great to be able to have that variety though. There's so many things you can find at a feed store you wouldn't believe. So what I found was Diamond Naturals there. They have a lamb and rice, a chicken and rice. They have a large breed, a small breed, a puppy, a senior, a low energy, a high energy. They have all sorts of variations for you to use. I usually stick to the chicken or the lamb. Sometimes get, I think they have a salmon one or something like that. And just kind of mix it up a little bit from month to month for my guys. But it's a 40-pound bag and it's $36. So there's a huge savings there. When I researched through, there's actually a website called dogfoodadvisor.com. It's a great site for you to go to and read all the reviews. Look at all the different, again, the expensive ones, the cheap ones, the ones you can find at a store. General rule of thumb, if you can find it at Publix, or if you're up north, Stop and Shop, or even Walmart or Sam's or any of those, it's not a high-end food. There are some that aren't too bad that actually, BJ's and Sam's has a brand that actually aren't bad. But most of them, like Iams, everybody trusted Iams for years. Well, you notice that Iams suddenly is available in stores as of about, I don't know, maybe it was about 6 or 8 years ago, that suddenly you could get Iams in a supermarket. That was unheard of. There was no way you would be able to get that. What happened there is that they lowered their quality of their food. So there's all sorts of junks and byproducts and fillers and everything in that food. I hear so many people say, oh, I feed Beneful. Do you know why people feed Beneful? Because it looks like carrots and peas and healthy things for you. So it's kind of like saying, you know, I'm going to feed my, my child cereal because it looks like a healthy thing. I'm going to feed my dog cereal or this food because it looks like it's healthy. It's loaded with sugar. It is complete junk for you to do. So does your dog like it? Of course they do. Your son likes to eat candy, right? That's exactly it. So be careful when you're feeding some of the brands that you can find in a supermarket. In a pinch, do what you have to do. I've run to the store and grabbed Pedigree. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But in general, try not to as best you can. Look, do your research. Find one, again, that the no corn, no soy, no wheat is your best bet. And there's so many brands out there to choose from. Again, the other one is called 4Health. It's a number 4Health. And then the one that I utilize is Diamond Naturals. So everybody wanted to listen to me about dog food. So that's what I have for you tonight for dog food. So what I would like to do is actually spend some time and talk about these little furry energetic balls in front of us here. They are, unbelievably, these are our surgery dogs from Florida Retriever Rescue. And I know it doesn't look it right now. But Rocky, this one here that I have, the brown one, he is a 10-month-old duck-tolling retriever. And he's coughing a little bit. He's got a little bit of kennel cough after his neuter. But Rocky went in and he had a limp. So when we brought him in for neuter surgery, they did some x-rays and found that he actually needs FHO surgery. He has a floating shoulder. So it appears that he was probably thrown out of a car at some point. Which goes with his background. When he came from Alabama, way up in Winfield, Alabama, and they found him in the yard when they came out, but a car was driving away. So the assumption at this point is he was thrown out of it. According to the surgeon, his injury is about a month old, which also goes in line with that time frame. We brought Rocky over to the orthopedic specialist, Dr. Hay. He is like the orthopedic specialist in Tampa Bay. People travel from all over to use him. And he works with rescues. He gives us a discount. And he took a look at Rocky and said, yep, he definitely needs FHO surgery. It's going to be about $1,800. And his recovery time is 3 to 6 months. So this little guy, he does love to play. He is an absolute doll. He's the sweetest thing in the world, and he loves his foster sister very much. But he is going to have surgery, and somehow we're going to have to keep him quiet. That might be a little bit of help from something else. His foster sister over here, Kayla, she came to us also from the same place, Winfield, Alabama, and she actually had a note on her paperwork that says possibly pregnant. So we brought her in to have a ultrasound done to make sure if she had puppies before we spayed her and how far along she might be. Well, when she went in for the ultrasound, they didn't find any puppies, but what they found was a whole lot of fluid around her lungs and her heart. They actually said they couldn't even see her heart. Her diaphragm, basically, believe they said the liver was up in the diaphragm, and so were part of the intestines. Guys, can we not play? Can we not play? Can we just take a break? So imagine their surprise that you're looking at a dog who went in to see if she was pregnant and then find out that, well, she's not pregnant, but what is all this fluid? Does she have pneumonia? We had to run all sorts of tests. We had to do full blood panel, find out what was going on with her. They did x-rays, and it turned out that she had a diaphragmatic hernia. The diaphragmatic hernia, again, could be from a blunt trauma, was what it sounded like, or it could be something that she was born with. It's unusual, but it is possible. So she was at Country Chase Veterinary Clinic in West Chase over here, and she went in and they called in a specialist on Monday, and she had her surgery. So here we are with 2 surgery dogs. One, I believe the bill was about $2,400 for her and $1,800 for this guy. And she's doing wonderful. Surgery. As you can see, she did. She had major surgery. I don't know if you can tell, but she's totally shaved along the side here. It was a 4.5-hour surgery. It was a lot more extensive than they thought it would be. And look at her stomach. She's all stapled up here. So she had a lot to go. She's doing great, which is kudos to her foster mom, Tracy. And of course, she wants to play with her brother here. But she actually had 3 days of intensive care where she had was it a tube in her chest?
A chest tube.
Yeah, she had a chest tube and had to be transferred
in
between
a stretcher
on a stretcher between Country Chase Vet over to Tampa Bay Emergency
in Lutz.
Lutz, and then back to Country Chase Vet and back to Tampa Bay Emergency and back to Country Chase Vet. So she had a couple days there where she had to be watched at all times, and thankfully now she's comfortably resting and playing at Tracy's house. It's going to be an interesting recovery period for these two since they love each other so much. I would have loved to see them go to an adoptive home together, but we know that's not always necessarily possible here. She's also just about 10 months old. She's a Border Collie mix. What we're going to try and do is raise some funds for FAR. We have started posting it on our Facebook page. We have asked people to share it. We will be at the Talkie Awards tomorrow night in Tampa, and we are also going to have a table there taking donations. We are looking at starting a You Caring page because it's not just these guys. We had another dog, Missy, that came into us pregnant, and she went in to thought she was going to have her babies. They said, oh, she's not. She ended up having to have an emergency C-section 8 weeks ago. Babies are healthy. Everybody's good. We bring her in to be spayed last week. The doctor opens her up, smells this putrid smell. She's got her uterus is totally infected. She had to have a full hysterectomy, ovaries, everything removed. And there were complications doing that. She actually started bleeding out. So they went crazy for an hour to basically stop the bleeding, and that was up at Haystown Veterinary Clinic up in Hudson. So our vets in the area have definitely had a whole lot of work to do this past week. We had puppies come in, and they came in from Alabama, and they had parvo. So they were rushed into East West Animal Hospital. Dr. Register over there, it has just been one heck of a couple of weeks for FAR. So we will be trying to do fundraising as best we can. Donations can be made at paypal.com if you have a PayPal account. The email address, which is what the account is under when you send money to, is farfostermom@yahoo.com. FAR, F-A-R-R, fostermom@yahoo.com. Or you can send a check actually to FAR, F-A-R-R, and it's P.O. Box 2021. Largo, Florida 33779. Again, that's FAR, P.O. Box 2021, Largo, Florida 33779. Anything is appreciated. Like we talked about today, some of the folks on Facebook, they were being really great about it. Sue over in Orlando, she's like, you know what, I'll pack my lunch tomorrow. There's $10 there I've saved. That's $10 I can send to the rescue. It may not sound like much. 100 people do $10. There you go. 100 people do $50, well, we're doing great. I mean, we could, start paying off our bills. We unbelievably had over $12,000 in just emergency medical bills in the month of March, which actually was only in the last 3 weeks. And that's just emergency bills. We're not talking the usual spay neuters and all that kind of stuff. This is just emergency bills where they went in for something or had to be rushed to the emergency vet. The puppies, we lost 2 puppies. A couple weeks ago. They were in the emergency vet. That was another $2,400 bill. So it all adds up. Anything you can give is much appreciated. We'll have information on the screen here at the very end of the show for that as well. We're looking at Rocky here because he's chewing on the leash as best he can to make sure he can get out of it and go play, because at 10 months old, they are all puppy at this age. Kayla's doing really well there with Tracy behaving herself and staying away from Rocky, but a 10-month-old is awesome in a lot of ways because you don't have to go through the housebreaking, and you know what you're getting. They're at full size already. They look like what they're going to look like, but there's still obviously that puppiness in there where they want to play, they want to have fun. It's a really great age, though. This is a really fun age. It's one of my favorites. As you've seen puppies on the show, you've seen big adults on the show. This is a fun in-between age to get them at. There's a lot of training that still can be done, and some that's already in there. So, anywho, so moving on, we've talked about some dog foods tonight. We've also talked about our surgery cases. What I would like to do is open up the phone lines here. The number is 813-235-0644. Again, it's 813-235-0644. And we will take a caller for a 40-pound bag of Diamond Naturals. So I'd love for you to try it out and see if your dog does well on it. And maybe that'll help you out. Doesn't matter where you are, if you're here in Tampa or not, we can ship it to you. That's not a big deal. Again, the number is 813-235-0644. Okay, so in this part of the show, we usually talk about, just quick, a little tip on somewhere that you can take your dog, somewhere you can go and eat. We have our new favorite place to eat, and it's called Rumba. It's R-U-M-B-A. There's one in Clearwater, and there's one in Oldmar on Tampa Road. I'm not sure if they're elsewhere, but those are the two that I'm aware of. Rumba in Clearwater is my favorite. It's a big, huge open patio, palm trees all over the place. They've got fans going if it's hot out. They've got a bar area in the middle. It's just really, really nice. The way they've done it with the, I think it's got like a bamboo fence around it, and then it has all the palm trees. So you don't feel like you're on Gulf to Bay. You seem like you're kind of set to the side, and you're in your own little kind of tropical world in there. The food is Caribbean. It's great. Their drinks are cheap, which is also great. They have great sangria, and they have something they call the Rumba libation, which is a rum drink. It's like $5.50, and it's always 2 for 1. So their beer, their wines, everything. I've yet to find something I don't like there. I get the filet mignon tips, or kebab. It's on a kebab, and it's got some vegetables, and you get all sorts of sides with it. Oh, they have a shrimp bisque. Oh my God, you like lobster bisque or shrimp bisque? It's amazing. But you're perfectly welcome anywhere on the patio to take your dogs. Part of that is smoking, part of it is non-smoking. Blah, I don't like smoke. But the dogs can be on there. They can hang out. They'll bring out a bowl for you, drink some water. It's very, very dog-friendly place. I actually go there quite often, or we go there a lot at lunch for work. And if I bring my dog to work with me, which I do sometimes, then I'll bring him out there as well. So anyway, that's actually all that we have for you tonight. So again, I'm going to leave you with information on the fundraising and the surgery cases that we have right now. We appreciate your help with that, and have a wonderful Thursday evening, and hope the rest of your week goes well. I'll see you at the Talkie Awards tomorrow night. God bless.